That is sick. How messed up in the head are you that you would even ask? Look, okay, just calm down, okay? We're just talking.
Welcome to Watch Mojo. And today we're counting down our picks for the top 20 Family Guy jokes that crossed the line.
Don't you think it's a little soon for a musical about Terry Schiavo?
Or too late?
Shh. For this list, we'll be looking at gags from the popular animated show that may have pushed the envelope a little too far. We're not saying we necessarily take issue with these gags, but we can see why some people do. Which of these made you wonder how they managed to get it on air? Let us know in the comments. Number 20. Aquaman's Limitations. Aquaman, perhaps prior to some more recent casting choices, didn't have the best reputation. He's a fish guy, powerful in the ocean, but what about on land? Family Guy decided to poke fun at Arthur Curry, yet could perhaps have gone about it a little differently. A woman is shown being assaulted on a beach, crying for help.
Hey, let her go!
Or what?
Or, I don't know, man, but you're lucky you're not doing that over here in the ocean, or else I would stop you.
Aquaman pokes his head out of the ocean at a distance, yet stays where he is, confined to the ocean. He tosses a harmless starfish and threatens the criminal with fish backup. When the woman asks why he won't help, he gives a pretty insensitive response.
Well, maybe you shouldn't have let him on.
We get the Aquaman criticism, but can't help but think this joke would have worked showing any other crime. Number 19. The Epicac Contest. Longtime fans of Family Guy will be far too familiar with this scene. It never gets less disgusting, even so many seasons later. In a season 4 episode, Peter gets a hold of some Epicac, a syrup made from plant extracts traditionally used to rapidly induce vomiting.
All right, you guys, I got 8 crates of Epicac from Mort, all on my tab.
Well, the Griffin boys have a contest to see who can go the longest without vomiting. What follows is a full 1-minute scene of continuous puking. The 4 end up writhing in agony on the floor, vomit lining every piece of furniture and most of the floor.
Who wants chowder?
If that wasn't enough, a season 11 episode where time is reversed shows it again, but Brian and Stewie have to endure it backwards. Number 18. Peter Griffin Jr.'s demise. Did you know the Griffins had 4 children?
4 children. 4 children.
There's Meg, Chris, Stewie, and the dearly departed Peter Jr. In a season 7 episode, a cutaway reveals a funeral scene in which Peter consoles a crying Lois over the grave of Peter Jr. In a gentle voice, Peter says he thought the infant would stop crying if he shook him hard enough.
I'm sorry, Lois. I thought if I shook him enough, he'd stop crying. I was kind of right.
It goes without saying that shaken baby syndrome is one of the leading causes of infant death, so the joke is quite provocative. Those vaguely familiar with this condition may guiltily giggle, and those all too familiar will likely not. Number 17. Domestic Violence. In a season 10 episode, we're reintroduced to Quagmire's sister Brenda and her aggressive boyfriend Jeff.
When we were kids, our mother used to sing a song when we were sad. Maybe that'll help now.
Come on, Brenda. A stupid nursery rhyme isn't going to wake him up, especially the way you sing. Right, man?
She refuses to leave him, despite his clear physical and mental abuses towards her. Quagmire and friends end up secretly putting an end to Jeff and faking a farewell letter to Brenda. This episode generated a lot of controversy, as it was unlike the show to take on such a heavy topic. In all fairness, they handled it with care, but it was perhaps too serious for a show like Family Guy.
I guess he's really gone.
It takes away from the severity of the situation. Also, the episode's title, Screams of Silence, the story of Brenda Q, mocks those melodramatic TV movies, which also arguably lightens the mood unnecessarily. Number 16. Jesus Visits Quahog. There are a lot of jabs at Christianity in Family Guy. Jesus himself is a reoccurring character, yet prior to this season 7 appearance, he was pretty much only in cutaways. In the episode I Dream of Jesus, Peter runs into Jesus who claims he's secretly hanging out on Earth.
Are you Jesus Christ?
No.
Oh my God, you are! You're Jesus Christ!
No, I'm not. I'm just a guy working at a record store.
Peter persuades him to reveal his presence publicly, and Jesus reluctantly does so. He then becomes a sort of fame-hungry diva, appearing on various talk shows and shunning Peter for groupies and limousines.
Doesn't look like there's any room.
What do you mean?
Well, there's only one space left, and I promised it to that cow.
This is gonna be so much fun!
Reactions were not favorable to the portrayal of Jesus as a famous snob. A season 13 episode sees JC faking virginity in order to sleep with people's wives. So, yeah.
Jesus ain't no virgin. He did the same thing to me last Christmas.
He what?
Yeah, Jesus did the same thing to my wife Christmas before last and my buddy's wife the year before that.
Number 15. Brian gives Stewie an STI. Brian and Stewie have been in a lot of adventures, some good, some bad, and some ridiculous. In an episode titled Herpy the Love Sore, Stewie learns about blood brothers and performs the ritual with Brian.
I think we should hold hands more often.
There you go. We're blood brothers now. You happy?
Actually, yes. I mean, I really feel the bond, Brian.
However, he gets a little more than he anticipated when he wakes up with a herpes outbreak. Stewie is shunned by his daycare friends, has to call a former partner, hilariously a ripoff of Bob the Builder named Handy Manny, and confess to Rupert.
Rupert, you know how we promised never to lie to each other? Well, I lied earlier tonight. It's not a burn from Dunkin' Donuts coffee.
Brian continues to hide his affliction from his dates, but is thankfully stopped by Stewie and Chris.
Ew! I'm sorry, Brian. I've got to go.
Damn it, you guys! Her dad's really rich!
Wow, you weren't kidding.
Yeah.
Critics considered the episode one of the worst, as it inaccurately portrayed the virus as well as reduced it to mere fodder for gross-out humor. Number 14. Brian cleans Stewie's diaper. The Season 8 episode, Brian and Stewie, is different from your average episode, as it features no cutaways and serves to further develop the characters and friendship of Brian and Stewie Griffin. Nice, right? Well, it can't go a full episode without something gross. The dog and baby end up accidentally locked in a bank vault over a weekend.
What was that? I don't believe this. Hello? Hello? We're locked in!
Despite his wit and seeming maturity, Stewie is still a baby and inevitably ends up with a dirty diaper. In desperation and complete lack of a change, he asks Brian to consume the contents of the diaper, which Brian hesitantly complies.
There's just one part left.
What are you talking about? There's nothing left. Look, the diaper's completely clean.
Critics were understandably repulsed, disturbed, and completely grossed out. Number 13. Reactions to Ida. Glenn Quagmire loves the ladies so much, so you would expect the elder Quagmire to be the same, or even more of a womanizer. To subvert expectations, Seth MacFarlane and company went in a different direction, one that was roundly criticized.
Dad, they're here!
At ease, ladies. Hey, Glenn, you're not gonna give your dad an entrance?
Oh, yeah, I forgot. Guys, watch this.
Are you ready, Boots?
Quagmire Sr. comes to Quahog, revealing herself to be transgender and planning to undergo gender-affirming surgery.
No, it's okay. It's a perfectly normal question. We can't sit here and just pretend everything's the same. It is a big transition for me, yes.
That in itself isn't over the line, but the transphobic jokes were. Especially when Brian sleeps with Ida Quagmire and vomits upon learning of her transition. Many groups raised serious concerns about the episode, including the Gay and Lesbian Alliance Against Defamation, or GLAAD, saying it used offensive language and perpetrated harmful stereotypes about transgender people. For his part, Seth MacFarlane stood by the episode, believing it to be a sympathetic portrayal. Number 12. The Vietnam Veterans Memorial. Ah, the cutaways, a constant source of potential outrage. In a Season 8 episode, a trip to the nation's capital finds Peter and the gang driving by the Vietnam Veterans Memorial.
And there's the Vietnam War Memorial.
Hey, check out that Vietnamese guy giving the business to those Vietnam vets.
Peter points out a Vietnamese man giving the business to Americans, We then see 2 U.S. veterans visiting the memorial and being taunted by a Vietnamese veteran who refers to the memorial wall as a scoreboard, then points to a specific soldier on the wall whom he claims he killed.
Oh, what happened to your friend? Hey, I know that guy. I killed him. He cried like a bitch. Vietnam, undefeated.
It's really easy to see why this was ill-received by many, as it reduces the seriousness and massive death count of war to a sport. Some fans claim the gag puts down those who are already down. Number 11. The Whale and the Forklift. Any fan will recognize that Family Guy loves jokes that wear out their welcome. Remember that dead frog joke? Well, that was nothing compared to this one. In a 2014 episode, Peter gets a forklift and, of course, shenanigans ensue. It goes a little too far when he arrives on a beach to aid the rescue of a beached whale. In an attempt to lift the animal, Peter instead impales it with the forklift prongs and spends nearly a full minute trying to get the whale into the water, gruesomely destroying it in the process.
This whale's beached himself. He needs to get back in the water or he'll die.
Step aside, I'll handle this. Give me some room.
Is it funny or just nauseating? Oddly enough, something similar actually happened in 2015 when a whale corpse being airlifted made a mess on a Uruguayan beach. Number 10. The JFK Pez Dispenser. In a Reddit AMA forum in 2017, a Redditor asked Seth MacFarlane if he regretted any Family Guy scenes. Out of all the scenes one might expect him to name, MacFarlane answered that he could do without the JFK Pez Dispenser scene. In Season 1, Episode 5, a child exits a store and proudly displays his John F. Kennedy Pez Dispenser, only to have its head promptly shot off.
Check it out, it's a John F. Kennedy Pez Dispenser.
He then pulls a Robert Kennedy dispenser out, saying he's glad he still has that one.
Good thing I still have my Bobby Kennedy Pez Dispenser.
The former president and senator were both assassinated, making this joke quite distasteful. In fact, the scene was cut from earlier DVD releases of the show. Number 9. Michael J. Fox's Wine Party. Family Guy occasionally features self-aware cutaway gags where they break the fourth wall to apologize or explain the jokes. This cutaway was introduced as usual, but cut to Peter against a plain background, explaining that they won't show it because it will make us all sad.
See, he has this disease, and it makes him shake a lot, and what with all the shaking, he spilled his wine all over my shirt, and my shirt was ruined. So that's what that was.
They, of course, show it anyway. Michael J. Fox, with a tray of wine-filled glasses, inevitably spills it all on Peter's shirt due to his Parkinson's disease. Another cutaway features the aftermath of Michael J. Fox cast as Zorro. Erratic scrawls across the wall replace the iconic Z sword signature. These are in pretty poor taste. However, Fox himself has a sense of humor about his ailment, so we have to wonder if he was offended by these. Number 8. The Boston Marathon. This cutaway was already in poor taste, yet was also the victim of really bad timing. The 11th season episode, Turban Cowboy, features a cutaway in which Peter won the Boston Marathon. The thing is, he wasn't running but driving through the crowd.
I haven't felt a rush like this since I won that marathon.
About 1 month after this episode aired, the Boston Marathon bombings took place, taking the lives of 3 people and causing injuries for hundreds of attendees. The episode was pulled from airing again on Fox, as well as multiple streaming services.
I'm Bob Costas, here with Boston Marathon winner Peter Griffin. Peter, how did you do it?
There are some grim jokes on Family Guy, and this one isn't much different. The coincidence, however, is uncanny. Number 7. Somewhere That's Green. One resident of Spooner Street has a penchant for the youthful. You know who we're talking about, Herbert. He's repeatedly shown interest in Chris, and in one particular episode, Herbert daydreams about his potential life with him. He sings Somewhere That's Green from the musical Little Shop of Horrors. In the original song, The character Audrey sings of her potential perfect life with Seymour, having left behind her abusive boyfriend. Herbert imagines his perfect life, with himself as the wife.
A picture out of better homes and Gardens magazine.
The problem here is that Herbert is clearly an offender, and these types of scenes appear to lessen the severity of the problem. Some viewers have surmised that his age and feebleness take away from the clear offense. Number 6. The Terry Schiavo Musical. The Terry Schiavo case, for those unaware, was a notorious court case that spanned several years. In 1990, Teresa Marie Schiavo, then 26 years old, collapsed in her home. Though she was resuscitated, the lack of oxygen to her brain had caused massive, irreparable damage.
Her husband vowed to make her well again and took her to numerous doctors and rehabilitation centers. But years later, after winning a $1 million malpractice judgment, Schiavo said he realized his wife would never recover.
After 2 months, doctors declared her vegetative. In 1998 began a 7-year-long court case, riddled with appeals. Schiavo's husband wished to remove her breathing tube, whereas her parents wished to keep her alive. Family Guy decided that the case would make a great musical for Stewie and his daycare buddies.
Terry Schiavo is kind of a live-o, the most expensive plant you'll ever see.
It's easy to see why this was in poor taste. Number 5. Peter the High School Student. In a Season 9 episode titled Trading Places, Peter and Lois trade lives with Chris and Meg.
Wow, guys, you hear that? A raise. Interesting. Seems like the kids are doing pretty well at this grown-up thing, huh? I would suggest that you suck that.
This means Peter and Lois are high school students, and Peter takes this to a dark place quickly. He enters the kitchen the morning before school in an intimidating outfit, wielding a shotgun. He claims to want revenge for how the popular kids treated him. Lois tells him to call it off, which he tries and fails to do according to the response on his phone.
Peter, no, you're just a normal high school kid.
Oh. Hey, Lance, it's off.
There have been too many such real-life incidents to count, especially since the episode aired in 2011. This gag hits too close to home. Number 4. Peter has dark thoughts. There are some things that arguably shouldn't be joked about. Make what you will of this one. The subject matter is touchy, but the punchline crosses the line, in our opinion.
Peter, put that knife down.
Lois, I don't have any friends.
Peter asks Lois how to take his own life. From another room, Meg, often a dark character, answers him, even giving him tips. This joke is as dark as jokes can get, and could have a negative effect as well, as the information provided is accurate from a medical perspective.
Meg is right.
Okay, I'll be in the garage.
It's common to use comedy to deal with hardship, but there's a limit. Number 3. You have AIDS. Using a barbershop quartet to deliver bad news is potentially funny, but there's always a line. In a Season 4 episode, we're shown one of Peter's countless alternate careers. He's part of a quartet that eases the blow of tough hospital news by singing it. Cue You Have AIDS.
I don't know how to tell you this, Mr. Devaney, so I'll let these guys do it.
You have AIDS.
Yes, you have AIDS.
I hate to tell you, boy, that you have AIDS.
Family Guy staff members reportedly defended the scene, claiming that the tasteless absurdity of the situation was the joke. Again, this could be seen as subjective. A Season 19 episode sees Peter revisit the moment, now partly regretting it. At least he knows what he did.
You have AIDS. Ooh, and next door is a classic song about AIDS that I now partly regret. What a blessed day in Cutaway Land.
Number 2. I Need a Jew. Religious territory is sometimes close to hot water, and it's easy to fall in. In a Season 3 episode, which was actually pulled from airing for some years, Peter finds himself in need of a good accountant. He sings a song where he wishes for a Jewish person to come help with his finances.
I gotta get a Greenstein or a Rosenblatt of my very own.
The Jewish financial stereotype isn't new, and is normally taken in stride or even laughed about. But this time, Family Guy was sued by Bourne Music Company, original owners of When You Wish Upon a Star.
I need a
They claimed that the parodied version contained offensive lyrics and took away from the wholesome nature of the original. They lost the case in 2009, and the episode was returned to syndication. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. The Cosby Show credits. In a season 14 episode, in what at least one viewer called a swift dose of cruel truth, The Cosby Show's opening sequence is reimagined knowing what we know now. The classic TV sitcom opening credits sequence is then shown, with Bill Cosby dancing and pulling faces as he used to, yet his co-stars are not well. This refers, of course, to the at least 60 women having accused Cosby of sexual misconduct. Honestly, it is a joke that makes us uncomfortable, but as stated above, it removes a mask we perhaps wanted to keep on. What do you think?